I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
His death was not suicide. It was a brave and selfless act of justice, and it was really, as he called it, an extreme act of protest against the machine of injustice. First off, I want to say I don't encourage for anyone to do what Aaron did. I don't promote self-harm on this channel. However, for the mainstream media to pretend and act like what Aaron did was purely just suicide and an act of mental illness is disgusting and a disingenuous act. I mean, but that's what you expect from the mainstream media. CNN, or as I call them, the Cartoon News Network, or all the other mainstream media outlets, you know, they've been mouthpieces for the US empire and its proxy agent Israel as they carry out a genocide in Gaza. And Aaron's act of protest was to bring more attention to the fact that more and more people in the US military are waking up to the reality that the US military and the Israeli military are not benevolent institutions. They are terrorist organizations that work to bring more power, consolidate more wealth and power into the hands of military-industrial complex, military contractors, corporations, and billionaires. If we don't overthrow capitalism, if we don't dismantle capitalism, we will never have a chance of reaching peace and sustainability in the 21st century. As Aaron said, this is what our ruling class has decided will be normal. Aaron was a man of principle, and he had decided to put his soul, mind, and body to the task of an incredible act of protest that most of us cannot even imagine. The courage it takes for him to do what he did, undergoing extreme and horrible amounts of pain, and not one time, not once asking for help or for the fire to be put out and yelling "Free Palestine" until the very end. That really shows the level of determination this young man had to sacrifice his life. He had his entire life ahead of him, but to sacrifice his life for the good of all, for the collective good. That is a man of integrity and a man of principle. Aaron was an anti-capitalist. He was a critical thinking and intelligent man who understood that the root source of all wars is capitalism. Capitalism is a system of competition, differential advantage, and exploitation that always leads to the perpetuation and the creation of a neurotic and indifferent ruling class that seeks to profit off of war. Now, here are some of his quotes on the social media that I'm going to read to show us who he truly was. I am an anarchist, which means I believe in the abolition of all hierarchical power structures, especially capitalism and the state. I view the work we do as fighting back in the class war which the capitalist class wages on the rest of humanity. Thus, I want to engage in egalitarian forms of organizing that produce horizontal power structures based on mutual aid and solidarity, which are capable of liberating humans. This also informs the way in which I want to organize, as I believe any hierarchical power structure is bound to reproduce class dynamics and oppression. It's so important to imagine a better world. Let your thoughts run wild with idealistic dreams of what the world should look like, and let the pain and anger and how it's not that way flow through you. Let it free your mind and fuel your rage against the machine. So clearly this was not some crazy and unstable person who wanted to destroy himself and harm other people. No, he was a critical thinker who was actually very sensitive to the suffering of others. For us activists living in this dystopian nightmare, this capitalist world which is horribly unjust, it is important for us to immerse ourselves in the struggle, immerse ourselves in the struggle in our fight for a better world. We live in a world that encourages everyone to be a hedonistic narcissist, to pursue quick pleasure at the long-term cost of the destruction of our souls. And we must fight and resist against this tendency with every fiber of our being. In 1846, Henry David Thoreau, offended to his soul by the American invasion of Mexico, protested and went to jail. In his essay on civil disobedience, he said this of state policy: "If injustice is of such a nature that it requires you to be an agent of injustice to another, then I say break the law. Let your life be a counter-friction to stop the machine." So in closing, I want to say thank you, Aaron Bushnell, for your service. Thanks to all great men and women throughout history for the sacrifices they made towards the collective good. We cannot let their sacrifices go in vain. We cannot let Aaron Bushnell's legacy be in vain. Let us use this as a catalyst for revolutionary thinking and for the rise of the social immune system to rid the world of all systems of cruelty and injustice.